episode of Wow Can Cook. My name is Tracy and I'm here with my friend Dr. Gloria, and today we are cooking bourbon chicken. Hi, Dr. G, how's it going?
Hey, I'm doing great, sweetie. Yeah, named after Bourbon Street, New Orleans. You know, everybody's heard of that. But of course, I had to adapt it because they use a lot of hot, spicy nightshades. But this is delicious and it's easy. It's done in one skillet. Tracy has her nice cast iron skillet out there ready to start it. And so let's just start with what we're doing. You're using what pieces? Chicken thighs or breast? What are you using?
Boneless, skinless chicken thighs, 1.5 pounds.
Okay, so now toss that. You can use it right there in your, in your Ziploc there. Toss it in arrowroot powder. Now, for those of you that don't have arrowroot or don't like using it, you can use cornstarch. But I prefer to use arrowroot because it doesn't have any carbs or sugars or any negative effects. People can't tolerate corn all the time. And it's not, unless it's, unless it's totally organic, it's GMO'd. So I prefer you don't use corn. So go ahead and toss it. Let me see how much we've got in the recipe.
So to let the listeners know, first of all, I chopped this boneless, skinless chicken thighs into small little like chunks, about 1/2 inch to 1 inch. And now I'm going to take a tablespoon of arrowroot, sprinkle it in, and then toss it.
Okay, now it's going to be up to you to see that it's all covered in some kind of white powder. If it isn't, you'll have to add a little more. Because sometimes I have to add, and some
says divided.
It says divided, yeah. No, you're going to use the rest to thicken the sauce.
Oh, okay.
That's why. So sometimes you have to add another tablespoon to get it where it's really white, or it's not going to brown. There you go.
Oh well.
Yeah, you can always get some more out of the pan. Yeah, you need it really coated.
It's like shake and bake, baby.
That's what it is, baby. Shake it. You know how to shake and roll it.
Okay, what's next?
Okay, now get your oil going. We should always get our oil going before we start doing all this. So you're using avocado oil, and use about 1 tablespoon. If you don't think that's enough, you can add a little more. You're basically going to brown the chicken, so you have to have enough oil to brown it. Now, in a cast iron skillet, I don't usually use as much oil as I do in a stainless steel. So just, whatever it is that you're cooking in, adjust the oil so that you really get it browned.
Why don't you need as much oil in a cast iron?
Because it spreads evenly and it holds the heat differently. Stainless steel does not. So you usually need a little more because it's not evenly distributed. Cast iron is phenomenal at distributing the heat the way it should be, which is even. So when let's see, I got to get down to my directions. So you've already tossed it. You've already got the oil in the skillet. Put it on medium high so that it gets hot quick. Remember that we wait for it to dance, to shimmer, or to be. Tracy and I just were talking about it, and I said we should not say shimmer when the oil is shimmering. We should say it's waves of wellness. When the waves of wellness start showing, then we know it's time to put in the chicken. So make sure that it's high enough that it's starting to do its little dance or its little shimmer. And then you can add the chicken, and you're going to cook it on all sides. You're going to turn it with tongs until it's brown on all sides. That's why it needs to be medium high, or you're going to be there forever trying to brown it. So once it's not waves of wellness yet?
Not yet. It's not waving.
It's not waving. Okay. So the reason I like this dish is, yes, it does have a little bit of raw brown sugar, which I call sugar in the raw. So when I use, but you don't have to. The thing is that when you use something like raw sugar in the raw, it's dark brown, like a dark brown, regular brown sugar. And that caramelization, that flavor that you get in a rich sauce is not in some of the other things like monk fruit, or you couldn't use stevia for this. So don't panic when you see 1 tablespoon of sugar in the raw, because if you divide that up through 1 pound or 1.5 pounds of chicken, you don't even have to count it in your nutritional count. It's not enough to worry about. I'm diabetic and it doesn't affect me. If I was to use 3 or 4 tablespoons, yes, I would be affected. And so the oil is getting ready to shimmer. When it does, she's going to brown the chicken. What do you have there?
Okay, I got brown sugar for you.
Okay. See, she's humoring me a little bit. Okay. It's different if you were putting a half a cup or a whole cup of it. Okay, then spread it out evenly on a single layer so that you can start browning all sides of it. Great. And there again, it's not a dish that you have to stand over all the time. Just watch it so that you can brown it on all sides. You can go off and do something else, maybe make your side dish or make your salad or your vegetables. But you do have to brown it on all sides because you're doing a one dish meal. So it's not like you're going to put it in the oven later. You're not. You're just going to leave it in the skillet that you're cooking it in. And I disliked using cast iron because they were so hard to season. Now that they're pre-seasoned, you still have to season them. We season them every time we use them. Do you, Tracy? Do you season every time you use them after you wash them?
Avocado oil on it and season it. Yeah.
So do I. Do you put it on the stove to dry after you wash it with the oil?
Sometimes. Sometimes I just wipe it.
Yeah. Yeah, but usually I have to put it on to dry it first, so there's no moisture. That's what creates the rust. And then you can put your oil, because if you don't, you're going to get rust spots, and that's what I
use paper towels, so I don't have any rust.
Yeah, good. Okay, but you don't put it on to dry first after you've washed it.
Sometimes.
Before you use the paper.
Sometimes I do the whole routine, and sometimes I'm lazy.
Yes, I hear you. Me too. Okay, so how are we doing? You want to check the chicken and see if it's high enough, or do you want to put a little higher on your stove?
No, it's pretty darn high. I'm just going to check and see if it's browning.
Now, when you have a gas stove, some more time? Okay. So in the meantime, let's talk a little bit about some of the things I'm working on with bourbon. I was just sharing that I didn't know that bourbon was made in Texas as well, and it is, and it's delicious. And I'm not a bourbon drinker. I thought it was only Kentucky that could do bourbon. And I learned soon that that's not the case. They even have tasting rooms here. So I'm working on a bourbon meatloaf and meatball recipe that is amazing. I made it the first time and I wasn't quite happy with it. So I'm kind of, fiddling with it to get it just right to meet my taste buds. But just stay tuned to the QHS newsletter and we'll tell you when those are ready. What do you got going there?
Okay, I'm going to check the chicken again.
And I always serve this over either cauliflower rice or quinoa. The traditional way of serving it in New Orleans when they do bourbon chicken is over rice. And of course, we're all trying to avoid rice because of the carbs, and carbs convert to sugar. But to have it occasionally, like there's certain Asian dishes that I make that I don't want anything else but rice. And that's your choice. Just remember everything in moderation. If you choose to have the rice like I do with certain dishes, I don't cook them very often, maybe every 3 or 4 months. And to have a half a cup of rice that infrequent is not going to hurt anybody. But if you have it all the time and you're having a cup or two and you fill your plate with rice and pour a sauce over it or a dish over it, a stir fry, for instance, that's too much. The body converts it to sugar and then you pay the price. So don't limit yourself if you've got a dish like I love jasmine rice on some of my specific stir fries, and I don't want any other kind of rice. And when I do chicken curry or an East Indian dish, I want basmati rice, the white one. I don't want a brown one. I don't want quinoa. I want basmati. Just the aroma of the basmati with the Indian food is amazing. And of course, I love ethnic cooking and ethnic food. So that satisfies that desire for that authentic dish. So don't deprive yourself of that. Just know that it has to be in moderation and enjoy it. And the next time you have it, you may decide, no, it's okay. It's not worth it. Let's do, cauliflower rice or whatever. So how's it doing?
Good. I flipped it because it's browning. And so I'll give it a few
Okay.
minutes and then I'll flip it again.
You
I
add your
have
butter?
to say that I don't usually use chicken thighs. I usually use chicken breasts, but I got lucky that I had some chicken thighs in the freezer. So, but I never used them.
Cool.
I must have bought them accidentally.
Oh, because I only use them. I don't ever use, well, I shouldn't say ever. Certain dishes you have to have the breast.
I just like the
it's
texture
just
of the
been,
breast better than the thighs.
see, and I don't. I prefer the others. I think that the thighs are more tender meat. The breast is drier. And so I have a hard time chewing the breast where I don't with the thighs.
Ah.
That's interesting, but that's a way that I have to worry about the chewing.
All right, so I'm gonna go check and see if the meat is done being browned. Okay, it's mostly browned. What do I do next?
You're gonna take, once it's brown, you're gonna take it and put it in a plate, piece by piece. Set it aside because you're gonna make the sauce in the same skillet, including all the little bits of chicken that might be in there. So
and then does
take
the
the chicken
chicken
off.
simmer in the sauce a little while after?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Right now you're gonna make the sauce, but the chicken you have to take out and leave all the little brown stuff on the bottom. Don't get rid of the residue from the chicken.
Well, one piece landed on the floor, so Rocky's gonna be happy to get that.
I figured that. I saw that. So the reason you don't want to get rid of the residue on the bottom, okay? Because those little chunks of chicken that fried is delicious. Just like you were going to make a homemade gravy, you don't want to get rid of them. Leave the fire on medium high. And now add some more oil. So add about another tablespoon of oil.
Okay.
Okay, let it get a little shimmery. Doesn't have to be quite as shimmery because the skillet's already hot. Just let it warm up a little bit. And then you're going to add the onion, garlic, and ginger. And you're going to cook those until they have a nice aroma, until they get fragrant. So
Okay,
again,
so
you're going
it's
to add
shallot, not onion, garlic,
right,
and ginger.
and ginger, okay? And you're just going to add them
call
all at the same
shallots
time.
and leeks and everything onions because of your chef stuff, right?
Yeah, I do.
Use like us laymen.
No, it's okay. And we need to be specific. It needs to be that. So this is the shallots, the garlic, and the ginger. And Tracy has them all nicely prepped. So she's just going to dump them all in there and stir them until they get nice and fragrant, till you can really get that aroma of the three together. And that's about 2 to 4 minutes, depending on the heat and the pan.
And you need to tell them how much shallots, garlic, and ginger.
Okay, see, boy, I'll tell you, she's like a sergeant here. Okay, so the recipe calls for 2 cloves of garlic minced, 1.5 teaspoons of grated fresh ginger, and the shallots. So the shallots, again, shallots are an onion family. They're an alum family. So if you're using shallots, you can use green onions if you want. I prefer shallots for this. But if you're using shallots, it would be 1/4 cup or so. I mean, it's up to you. I've got in here the finely minced onion, but it's shallots. Do you have a 1/4 cup, Tracy?
My recipe says 2 shallots chopped. So I have 2 shallots. I didn't measure how much it was.
Okay, that's okay.
Next?
Doesn't matter.
They're browned and ready.
Okay, so now you're going to use that remaining tablespoon of arrowroot. Remember,
that I already
using
used,
2.
so I need to make another.
That you already used. Right. A tablespoon or a tiny bit more. If you like a little thicker sauce, like I do, use a little more. I was trying to be real conservative with the powder. Stir it because your arrowroot will get burned if you don't. Okay, now add are you using aminos or soy sauce?
1/4 cup of Bragg's liquid aminos.
Okay, go for it. Just put it in and stir it up again. Always stir in between adding something when you're doing the sauce, other than the initial 3 things that you added to start browning. Okay, now you're going to add your bourbon. So you measured out your bourbon. Perfect. Stir it a little bit. Give it a whiz there.
Is
Give
it a
it some
quarter
waves of
cup of
wellness.
bourbon or a third of a cup?
Well, I like a third, but you do what you want.
Quarter cup, quarter cup.
Okay. Okay. So you've got that done. Now the brown sugar. I use sugar in the raw. Yes, but brown sugar's fine. And like I said, it's only a tablespoon. So don't panic at the fact that there's sugar in there. There's some recipes you just have to have the regular brown sugar in it. I never use white sugar. I don't even have it in the house or in the pantry. And then you're going to put in the vinegar. So you have that pre-measured. Let me see how much of the
do
vinegar
I have
did you
pre-measured, Dr. G?
I know. See, 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. And you're going to put that in now and keep stirring until it gets thickened and bubbly. And as soon as that gets thick, and like I said, if you want it thicker, Tracy, you can add a little bit more of the arrowroot. Or if some of you have organic cornstarch and you want to use that, that's fine.
Plenty thick.
Plenty thick? Okay, let it bubble so that all the flavors melt. And then you put the chicken back in. It's that simple. And about 4 to 6 minutes, the chicken in it. I make this dish the night before. I know all of you are probably tired of me saying that, but I don't like food the minute I cook it. I cooked 4 meals yesterday. Tested out 4 new recipes. 3 passed the test. 1 was, no, I got to still adjust it a little bit. We'll eat it. It's good, but it's not what I want it to be yet. And we won't eat it the same day necessarily. I just tested them because I don't like it the first day. Many European countries do not eat their meals, especially the better chefs, the first day, unless they're doing something at the table in a restaurant or something like that. Or a fish dish, for instance, you have to be able to make that fresh. How's it doing? Is it nice and thick?
Yep, it looks good.
And then, okay, so now for your rice, you're using the palmini. That doesn't have to be warmed. You just take it out of the pouch. I bought some and tried it like you suggested, and I warmed mine because I don't like cold rice. So are you going to warm it or are you going to just pour it over?
You're the boss. I'll do whatever you want me to do.
Warm it, dear heart, because it's a whole different flavor. Okay, let me see the bowl.
And I'm so excited. The bourbon chicken is ready. It smells so good.
That's it. Did the sauce get nice and thick?
Oh, very thick. Like it's all over the chicken and nothing dripping in the pan.
Good. That's the way it should be.
Okay, let's see. I don't want to burn my tongue.
Now you see how you have a little bit of sweet and sour because you've got that vinegar in there?
Yeah.
It's not a true sweet and sour.
I see how the chicken thighs are what makes it.
That's right. There's a reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I make chicken curry, I like the breast, like you use. But for most other dishes, I use the thighs.
You know, my husband might actually eat this.
How is it? Did it really get the nice bourbon glaze, thick glaze taste?
Yeah. It's really good. This is
okay. And remember, tomorrow it'll be 100% better because it'll sit in that sauce all night and absorb it.
That's why I don't want to eat too much. I want to save it for tomorrow's dinner.
Exactly, because you'll like it a lot better. So then you'll have to give us a report on that.
Okay.
So
awesome. Well, thank you, Dr. Gloria. Thank you to all who are watching. This one is a keeper. I really, really like this, and it goes right along with my lifestyle too. So we thank you for watching. Perfect. And bon appetit.
Okay. And bon appetit. Bye-bye.